Dude, Luke, the printer's still busted, man. What the fuck?
How's it going, everybody? Welcome to episode 82 of the Topless Robot podcast. My name is Ryan.
I'm Tyler.
I'm Brooks.
Daniel.
And with us today is our special guest, our first quarantine guest, Kevin Gibson, lead singer of Tubbering and one half of Super 8-Bit Brothers. Welcome to the podcast, Kev.
Thanks for having me. It was great. You've got fun and games.
That was a really good introduction. It was like we haven't had one yet. First try.
So Kevin is a big nerd like us, and I thought who better to have on the podcast with
which is why we've hired an assassin who's on his way to your house right now to give you a swirly.
Cool. Are you guys gonna swap me?
He's bringing his own locker with him to bring it into your house. So you can do it.
He's just gonna shove books into your hands and then smack them out of them immediately. Made the wrong choice coming on here, huh?
Or the right one.
You should have known that before you got on.
So, Tubbering is a band that has been around for quite a while. When did Tubbering form?
1992.
God damn!
It's older than me!
You're old.
Hey, 1992. I was alive when your band started. Only for a year, but you were alive. Yes, I was alive.
I was 10.
We get it. You're old. Yeah.
I was 3? Yeah, 3.
I am no longer the oldest person on the podcast.
All right. Yeah.
Greetings, Ancient One.
Dispense upon us your wisdom.
We shall respect you since you are our elder. Yes, exactly. Show some respect here, damn it.
And in that time, you guys put out a great deal of albums. One might say 6.
That's the easiest answer. That's one might say. That's a very specific number to might say. Technically, in between there, we put out a whole bunch of either B-sides or, I guess they were demos, but they were albums, and we had a lot. But 6 seems like a good way to just say 6 major releases and then other weird stuff in between.
And so you and Rob are going to be doing some live streams coming up starting tomorrow, right?
Yes. Just like everyone, this is the great time to do quarantine podcasts.
Yeah, right.
So,
yeah.
Quarancasts. So Rob sent me a text the night previous saying he had a few drinks in him. He's like, we should just podcast, talk about our albums. I went, okay. And I had a feeling the next morning he was going to send me another text saying, forget it, when he sobered up. But the next morning he texts, so what should we do with the podcast? I'm like, oh, okay.
So you just woke up the next day and said, like, why did I talk to you?
Kind of what I was expecting. I do that. Rob doesn't get as drunk as I do, because I know I get a little drunk and come up with great ideas. And
sounds like he's a casual and needs to commit a little harder to his alcoholism.
He's a drinker too. I've just unfortunately maybe been drinking a bit too much. So hey, I think that we're all drinking a little bit too much. All right. What are we gonna do in this fucking quarantine apocalypse? Other than else?
Well, now you understand why Wisconsin is known for drinking. Quarantine is just winter.
True.
To be fair, we have quarantine here too.
To be fair.
Summer.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Yeah, dude, Phoenix summers get up to like 125.
They do.
My God.
Yeah.
I could not handle that.
It is cursed. There are about 3 to 6 months a year, depending on how miserable I am, that I only leave my house to go to work, and otherwise I am sitting next to a fan and waiting for death.
I can't take. I can take cold better than I can take heat.
Me too.
Like when it gets super cold, I can layer or just hide it. But heat, I'm just sweating and uncomfortable, and
but those Midwest
But
winters,
it's a dry heat.
those Midwest winters got real bad there. Like I was happy to get out of Wisconsin with, and get away from the negative 75 with wind chill. Like you can certainly layer, but there's no amount of layers that can prepare you for negative 75.
Sure, but then you just stay inside.
75. That's a thing.
That is a thing.
The thing that's happened.
Yep.
Yeah.
When any exposed skin starts to burn when you leave the house.
I mean, I'm used to that. It's just
It's a different kind of
on the
burn.
opposite side of the spectrum.
Well, I'm from Chicago, so I'm used to that too.
Yeah. So
It's winter.
that's
I missed winter this year.
I have been in Chicago during February a few years. It can get pretty brutal, but I like it.
man, the fucking wind off the lake and in that city. There's a reason they call it the Windy City. And God,
Yeah, dude. The
But
wind that
that's
rolls off
not
that
the
fucking
reason.
lake will chill you.
Because
to
everyone
the
has
fucking
gas, right?
bone.
Do I have to play tour guide here?
Let's go. We can't go on an
Well, here's
actual
the little-
vacation right now.
Here's a little Chicago insider. It is not called the Windy City because it's windy.
really?
It is called, yes, it's called the Windy City because they used to have the Democratic National Convention there, and there were many politicians, and they were all throwing out hot air and wind, and it became known as the Windy City because of that.
Oh wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
And it is windy.
Yeah. I grew up in the Midwest and around Chicago. My mom used to work at Ernst & Young, in Chicago, and I went to Columbia College acting camp every, summer and shit in Chicago.
Nerd.
And I never knew that.
Well, there, I just dropped some knowledge on you.
But
I've
yeah,
never been
tubbering
to
was
I am not allowed to learn on this podcast. Thank you very much.
so.
I go for about a year myself, but I don't. remember
schools are
anything about
closed for the year. Okay, come on. How dare you make us learn?
So tubbering was kind of I would say, an extremely influential band in the Midwest. Kind of, we're heavy, but we don't necessarily fit anywhere genre. Among your people who you inspired, I think, and also kind of came up with, are bands like Idea Men and Downtown Brown and Scream Mechanical Brain, and those guys in the Midwest who are like, we aren't really friendly to popular ears. And we're like, there's probably more than a little Mr. Bungle inspiration coming into, a lot of those band circles as well. But tubbering is the first in that kind of genre that I encountered in the Midwest, and really kind of led me down the paths to discover bands like Downtown Brown and Scream Mechanical Brain and stuff like that. So I guess I was going to go with a question there, I think, but
Is
really
that a
I'm just
question or
saying,
a statement?
no, just a statement, I
Yeah,
guess. Just like,
I'm
how
lost.
do you bear that?
Yes, Downton Brown.
Downton Brown. It's great that you brought up those bands. Yeah, it became a little scene out there. They were all friends with us, and it was a great time to just be constantly touring and playing with all of them and other bands. Yeah, there wasn't really a question, so I'm not really answering.
It was
I'm
just like,
Yeah, you named a bunch of good friends of ours. Yes, nice.
Ryan just
Midwest,
likes to name drop to make himself sound a little
pretty much,
bit,
yeah, that's what it is.
more intelligent.
I mean, of those, like, Idea Men is probably one of my favorite bands ever. And just like it was, aside from the punk scene, it was a scene of misfits doing really weird and cool shit that kind of became a home for me and my band Sparklefuck. It was like, we didn't really fit in anywhere, and we, started playing shows with Downtown Brown and, played with Polka Dot Cadaver, and these bands are doing just kind of weird shit, and it just kind of felt home.
It
Weird
helped.
shit. I don't like that.
It helped and it hurt being weird and not necessarily fitting in, because then our labels or managers just didn't know what to do with us. Like, it's a great album. We don't know who to put you on tour with, and our answer to just anyone will put us with someone we don't fit at all. Just put us in front of people, and that'll be fine. But it definitely it helped in a way too that you get the fans of kind of the weirder music. They're obsessive about it, so we'd get people following us to shows all the time and still into us, and that's great. And so you give up maybe a mass audience to get a more dedicated audience.
Yeah. And do you have a preference between the two?
Oh, I want to be rich and famous and not be at the grocery store.
I don't gotta say.
I don't know, man. You guys got pretty big there. You were in a video game.
We were in a video game.
What video game were you in?
Amped 3. The snowboarder game. And we got a song on that. I think we had something in something else, but I don't remember. But yeah, that Amped game was.
So
it's kind of funny. I just have to put this out there. This was just before Ryan told us that you were going to be on the podcast, and I know that Ryan has told me about Tub Ring before, but I ignore him like most of the time. But I was just I take nightly walks, and I just kind of walk and put my Spotify on Discover, and you guys popped on, and I just sat there and delved through your entire discography on a walk through literally last week. And then Ryan's like, dude, I fucking loved it. It was fantastic. And I'm like, this is amazing. And I'm like, in the back of my head, I'm like, I think Ryan said something about them. I started everything else that he says. But and then he sends us, he's like, hey, Kevin's going to be on the podcast. I'm like, hey, I'm prepared.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I do love your music.
Thank you.
So almost a year ago, you moved out. You relocated from Chicago to L.A., and
correct.
Now I guess probably a month of that, or a little over a month of that, has been spent in quarantine.
Yes.
First off, how has the move been from the Midwest out to the West Coast? And secondly, how's your quarantine been?
Well, I'll start on the first question. I like LA. It's home now. The weather's wonderful. If I'm being honest, I still kind of prefer Chicago as a city. I like cities. I like buildings and feeling like that. And downtown LA leaves something to be desired. It's nothing like Chicago or New York.
That is definitely true.
Yeah.
You would hate Phoenix.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I miss the city. A lot of people say the people in LA are terrible. I'll go the opposite on that. Everyone I've met, even industry people networking, everything, super nice. Not really much arrogance. As I've said, networking is just making friends. So that's cool. I think that's wrong when people say the people all suck out here, because people are fake and stupid everywhere.
Yeah. That's not an LA thing exclusive.
Yeah.
That's a humanity thing.
But LA is home now, and I'm liking it more and more, which leads to the quarantine. My wife and I have discussed this. We're very blessed that we moved out here right before this happened, because we are across the street from our best friends, and we have a group that we can still, I don't know if we should say that we see each other. We haven't in a couple of weeks, but during the quarantine, it was nice that I still had friends that I could see, that if one of us, out of the 5 of us had COVID, then we all did. But we've still taken some time off, so I don't know if we'll see each other again. We've been doing Zoom chats with all of our friends at night. And the weather's nice, so like you said, you can walk, unlike if I was in Chicago right now, it would be quarantine plus cold.
Yeah.
So in a weird way, I'm very lucky that I got out here right before this happened, and quarantines made me like LA more. That's in the weird way.
Yeah. In the times that I've been out to...
put this down as, and for the record, quarantines make LA better.
Yes.
I think that's it. For the record.
Quarantines make LA better.
I had never been out to LA until I moved out to Arizona. And it's after driving from Wisconsin to Arizona in one drive, a 6-hour drive from Arizona to LA doesn't seem like that much. Like, I remember driving from Wisconsin to Tennessee and it felt like a fucking trek, but that was like a 7-hour drive. Now, after spending, I think, 28 hours on the road from Wisconsin to Arizona in one stretch, a 6-hour drive to LA is... And I have foolishly tried to do it there and back in one day for an event.
Wrong.
And even then, that was a bad idea. But yeah.
When how long ago did you move?
2015.
Okay. When you moved, did you do that all in one shot? How long did it take you to take everything?
So I got rid of everything that didn't fit my car. Like, I was at a point in Wisconsin where I just didn't have work. I didn't have a lot of opportunities. The things that I was doing were fulfilling, but not paying me. So, like, I love setting up shows. I love playing shows. I love hosting things. I was hosting karaoke at a kink club. I was playing shows with Sparklefuck and Made of Blocks. And I was booking shows. And I love doing all of that. But it's not exactly something that's super sustainable, especially considering, like, with punk gigs, like, I'm setting up punk shows. I want to make sure that the punks, the people who are on tour, all these DIY kids are making money. And so I never took any money from booking shows. I always, made sure that, like, the touring band got as much money as humanly possible so they could get to the next city. Because no one's willing to pay more than $5 for a show. Unless
Ryan,
it's
are you
some
trying
big,
to tell us that there's no money in the music industry? I've never heard this
surprise.
before.
No.
I'm sure there are ways, but they involve taking money from people who are actually doing the bulk of the work. And
they also involve tossing your own soul in the garbage.
Yeah, pretty much. They involve being a garbage human being, which I'm not willing to do in order to make money. I like what I got out of that was incredible friendships and awesome shows. And that's the stuff that mattered to me. And so it was worth it. And I fortunately, got to continue doing that immediately when I moved out here. I, connected with the right people and started booking shows pretty much right away. Like I moved out here knowing no one except for one person in May of 2015. And the first show that I booked out here was at Yucca Tap Room in October of 2015. So like I got right on it.
Yeah, right into it. Cool.
And it's just so fulfilling and it's fun. But yeah, so like things were kind of winding down in Madison for me. And so I just got rid of everything that didn't fit in my car. I put the important shit in my car and drove.
Wow.
And originally the plan was this was going to be the first stop. And because I'd been booking shows in Madison for so long, I've got friends all around the country. And the goal was to stop at these different points and then settle wherever, like, hey, this looks like a cool scene. I really like this place, whatever. Came out here to visit my buddy Modem, who I've been a huge fan of his music forever. Actually, Kevin, at some point, I think I did share some of his music with you because you've been on a big electronic kick. And he does like electronic industrial. That's really cool atmospheric electronic industrial. And he and I had become internet friends where we collaborated and played. He asked me to play some bass on his latest album and stuff like that. But we had never met in person. And he like demanded that he be the first person I visit. And I came out here, had a lot of fun and ran out of money and just stayed and ended up getting a job.
Nice.
So yeah,
it's a good story with a nice ending.
Yeah, and now I own a house for some fucking reason, and like, yeah, it's here we are 5 years later, and it's I don't know, life is fucking rad, even in quarantine.
See, is it a happy ending? You know us.
Yeah, and honestly, we know you.
I think
welcome. That might be the saddest part of this entire odyssey that you took part in.
So Probably 2 years ago, Tubring did a Kickstarter for a new album called A Choice of Catastrophes. And
I do not choose this catastrophe, by the way. This is not the one I would have chosen. I would have chosen zombies.
Okay.
I would have chosen zombies.
Of catastrophes,
yeah. This one's kind of okay.
I'm pretty okay with this one versus considering the choices. This is not the worst catastrophe we could have had. It's definitely pretty bad. Like, I don't want to downplay the amount of people who are legitimately like seriously impacted by this and things like that. But a pandemic, while a catastrophe, is not. I don't know. Things could be worse. Things could definitely be worse.
I'm glad you threw out that little exclaimer. I feel bad now because you're right. People are. So I'm sorry.
I actually value human life, unlike our
right. Sorry.
Well, things could be worse, like they are for the Midwest and southern east side of the country states right now, who are under tornado warnings.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, that's not fair. Don't go outside, but also go outside.
No. You don't go outside in a tornado. You go in your basement. I know, Arizona, You're probably going, what's a basement?
I don't know how that works.
I was super confused. I've never heard anyone even jump to the conclusion of, hey, during a tornado, the safest place to be is outside.
I mean, I feel like being...
Yeah, that seems like the worst place to be. We've all seen The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, the house dropped on someone's head. I'm just saying.
You either go in your basement, and if you don't have a basement, I guess you hide in your bathtub. Like, those are your choices.
Pretty much. Yeah.
You climb to the tallest tree possible and take your shoe off and scream at God.
And so, spoiler, your Kickstarter was a big success. And we did get a new Tubring album after, probably 6-7 years, I think.
7 years, yeah.
Yeah. And I was a backer. I got also polyvinyl chloride. Very happy with that. Which was a best of collection that, if I remember correctly, everyone kind of got to vote on what you guys included on polyvinyl chloride, right?
Correct.
I just want to point out really quick that polyvinyl chloride sounds like what Trump's trying to make us all take for the coronavirus. Continue.
Yeah, it's true. Polyvinyl chloride works well for the coronavirus.
Well, I have an abundance of 2 discs of polyvinyl chloride that if anyone gets infected, we got it.
I gotta say, maybe it's not that clever, but I was surprised no one's named their album Polyvinyl Chloride before.
Until today.
I guess it only has to be on vinyl to work, but it seemed like such an obvious...
right?
Polybandcamp chloride.
But that is right. There's so many people who could have thought to do that, but they probably weren't going to get any vinyl. So that was enough of a deterrent for them.
Yeah.
We get it, Kevin. You're clever.
Oh.
So with the success of that Kickstarter, and I'm sure you probably still, even from you guys announcing last week the live streams coming up this week, the amount of fan support that you still have today, has it lit a fire under your ass, you and Rob? Has it gotten you guys wanting to do more Tubring? I know Rob's been busy with industry things since he moved out to LA and whatnot, but is there any desire left to do that, or?
Well, like I said, it seems odd that we kind of came up with this idea out of nowhere because we don't have anything else really to promote. It's not like we're going to throw at the end, plus we have this new album, surprise. But yeah, does it light a fire under our ass? The fact that we're doing this is kind of the answer there, where, baby steps. Me and Rob see each other almost daily, not right now. So I would assume I've discussed things in public and now on webcams more than I've actually discussed it with Rob. But yeah, we've talked about it. We'll definitely do another Tubbring album. We have a full band now. We have great musicians that are at our disposal. Jason's back in the band, our bass player. Patrick's our guitarist. He's amazing. We have 2 drummers. Both of them are great and multi-instrumentalists, so they'll write songs too. We have Mike and Sean. And
when are you going to make one of them kill each other for dominance?
No, I won't kill him.
At first, I was wondering if either of them would feel. Mike's been in the band forever, and Sean was our last drummer before we stopped touring. So they both deserve being in it and everything. And I wondered if that would seem weird to them. But those 2 work together so well. Like, it's great having them both in. And they're, like I said, they both are multi-instruments that they can do lots of things. And
so the bigger worry isn't that they're going to have to kill each other for dominance. It's that their bond is so strong they might kill all of you for dominance.
Exactly.
I'm just saying, Ryan has 2 thrones in it. So if you need a throne to sit upon high and drink a goblet of wine while they fight to the death, Ryan's got you.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's a great idea for if Tubbring ever decides to come out to the Phoenix, Arizona area. That's a great idea for a show at the Grid.
Okay. Gotcha.
Have you and Rob sitting in thrones on the stage while?
If we get together as a band, put out another album, decide to go tour, and make it out there, then
that's
if
a
all
whole lot
of
of
these
ifs.
very likely circumstances come together.
So next week, right?
Yeah.
No, that's bad social distancing, Brooks.
I think another part of it too is that if we do decide to write, we've gotten good now that we can do it fast. Our last album, Catastrophes, which I'm very happy with how it turned out, and we didn't like half-ass it or anything, but we finished the whole thing, writing the songs, recording it, and then lyrics in probably a month or 2, a month and a half.
Oh, damn.
So like, we got together with all the musicians, the band, spent a week in the studio writing. We didn't even have anything. Wasn't like we had an album of songs to go in. We just went in. People maybe had demos or something. Wrote it all in that week. I took it home, worked with it for about a month or so, and then flew back. I was still living in Chicago. Flew back to LA, recorded it. It was a great experience. So that's why when we decide to pull the trigger again, hopefully it'll be easy and enjoyable like that.
Hell yeah, dude. The one of the Kickstarter backer levels was to buy a cover.
Yes.
When you do something like that, how does that complicate that process? Because one of those covers was I would see as kind of challenging from a singer's perspective.
Okay.
God.
Well, actually, I know what you're going to say. Crazy and Colon 992's all.
Yes.
So we did the covers. I'm assuming this will come on the podcast, but we can double things. So yeah, I've read comments on some of our things where people ask, "Why did you do this cover? You guys big Ghost fans or something?" But yeah, our Kickstarter had pay a certain amount of money, and we'll do whatever cover you want. One was "Remember the Time" by Michael Jackson, which good song. We did a slower, creepy version of that. Then another friend, Chris Williams, he bought the other cover song, and he wrote us a message. I forget what the other band was, but he's like, "All right, I'm still trying to figure out what cover. I'm either going to give you like Opeth or some death metal band or Ghost." And I just saw the email and thought to myself, and I don't listen to Ghost. I listen to everything. I'll check it out. But
Sure.
The only Ghost song I'd ever heard, because they were getting big, so I check out every band that's going so I could see if they're good or not, was Secular Haze. And I'm like, oh, that's a good song. So when I read his email, I was like thinking, oh, I hope he picks Ghost, and I hope he picks that Secular Haze song. And then he did. And so that worked out. But that is actually the only Ghost song I know. I'm not but it's a good song. So
Yeah.
nothing for or against Ghost. We're not big Ghost fans. We're not necessarily big Michael Jackson fans. We were paid good money to do it. I was glad. I was happy with both of the choices. Like certain things. I like if you did I almost didn't want like a pop song because we didn't done that too much, and maybe we did it again. But I was hoping. I was happy with the choices.
Sure.
The third choice, Priest : Einstein Tuesday, it's actually not picked by anyone.
Oh.
That was another. That was. I've known about that song for a long time. I've always wanted to cover it for years. I think if you look at my Facebook back in early 2000s, I was saying, "Oh, it's a great song. I want to cover it," but we never did. And then one night, Fargo, the series, aired, and they used that song in a casino scene. And Rob loves Fargo. His favorite show. I love it too. But he saw that, and he sent me a text right away. He's like, "Oh, that song, Priest and Cole, and Fargo was so good." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I love that song." And it seemed like my chance. Want to try covering it? So we did. And I had kind of already known the chorus because I've known the song, but the verses, I just sat down with a notebook and tried to listen to it phonetically each time and write down each syllable I'd heard until I did that. And I knew some of the syllables wouldn't necessarily be right because there were some weird tones, but I figured I would put kind of an American English inflection to it, and the whole song's supposed to sound like American English anyway, so kind of figured that would work if they had a weird Italian trying to sound American syllable, but I just Americanized it more or made it more English, and that's how that came about.
It came out real well, but it definitely looked, it sounded like a real vocal challenge.
Not that much.
Really?
I'd love to take credit, but just a day or two writing down all the syllables, and then when we went to record it, take the notebook and read the thing. I already known the melody and how it went.
So honestly,
actually,
you can see how I might think that was one that was bought, because it's kind of like I'm going to trip them up. Yeah.
I would have appreciated that if somebody did that to us, but no, that was more of us trying to take on the challenge. And yeah, I'll make it sound harder than it was. It was tough, man. I had hours working on that.
So
I had to go to a vocal coach and find the feeling. Gotta get down to my core.
So if you guys had to pick a cover for them to do, what would you pick?
A cover for who to do?
For y'all, I'm more so addressing
you're talking to me.
Tyler.
Oh
no. Yeah, like what would you pick?
Well, they've done at least one of the obvious ones. Still Alive. But I guess you did that. You did that as Super 8 Brothers. Yeah. Honestly, I'd kind of love to hear you tackle a bungle song.
No.
Nope. There you go, Ryan. You have your answer.
Albuquerque by Weird Al.
That's a good one. You know what I want to do by Weird Al? What I want to do by Weird Al? Hardware Store.
Yes!
Oh man.
Such a good song.
I wanted to cover.
I want to hear you do that. The really fast part.
Exactly.
I want to hear you do it.
I really wanted to cover with the Ganders. We did The Night Sand Went Crazy, but I really wanted to do as a follow up. The follow up for Halloween was shit. I just brain fart. It's on in 3D.
You obviously really wanted
Nature Trail to Hell. Nature Trail to Hell.
Yeah. I've always wanted to cover that.
Nature Trail to Hell. Nature Trail.
I love that
I'm a
Weird
big Weird
Al
Al fan. Yeah,
I love that Weird Al has already come out and said my corona is not going to happen.
Yeah,
probably a good choice. Honestly.
It doesn't matter anyway. It's already been done by a bunch of other people, so it's already tired. Like, just let it go.
I love how creative some of the quarantine covers have been. My buddy Dan Precision in Chicago he was one of the founding members of Rise Against. He's in 88 Fingers Louie. He did Quarantine in the style of Heart, like quarantine, in the style, Call Me, and then
in the style of Heart.
Blondie.
Did you say heart?
Sorry.
Okay.
I was like, what? I don't remember.
hold on a
No,
second.
my brain doesn't always work right. I hear powerful female vocals, and I think heart for some reason.
I mean, it's a fair thing to think of, but
and then my buddy Ty, who we've had on the podcast before, did Quarantine to the Darkness.
that one was great.
Yeah. And that was a lot of fun. And some friends of mine in Infinite Signal got a lot of press over Blink-182 cover. Wash My Hands Again instead of What's My Age Again.
I saw one online that had a good viral following. It was a girl doing karaoke, and I guess if she was doing karaoke, it was before the actual quarantine started. Or maybe I don't know. She's doing karaoke, and she was doing Torn by Natalie Imbruglia, and she put her own lyrics to it, and they were about quarantine or about COVID going around. And she's singing it, and it's funny, but she's got a little crowd there listening to her. And when the chorus comes, and she's got her own lyrics for the chorus, there's a girl in the back, and I think it's by the person taping, that's singing out loud, really loud, the actual chorus. It's like, people like that in a crowd is like, do you think now's the time? Like, everyone's listening to her funny lyrics. You got to try to overpower her with the real lyric.
Yeah.
I think it's a good personality trait for a person to also know how to be a good audience.
Yes.
I mean, you appreciate that. I don't know. It bugged me, and it still bugs me apparently. Since
I could you can feel the rage.
It's
just
the
I
whole
want to be like next. I want to be next to the girl.
The proximity to the camera thing. Like, she could have been thinking that she was being quiet, but not realizing that she's next to someone who's filming. Because I know that I have to catch myself when I'm filming like something that I really love to not sing along. Because no matter what the fuck I do, it's going, because of the proximity of the microphone, it's going to come out. No one wants to hear me sing. They're as excited to, like, I'm excited to catch this. I don't even want to catch me singing this song. But I can't help myself because I'm also really excited about the song.
Sure. I don't mind it so much in like a bootleg someone does at a concert because everyone's just having fun. So if you hear a person singing along too, you're just watching a video anyway. It almost adds to the excitement a little more, I think.
Yeah, but in the case of a karaoke, like with custom lyrics sort of thing, don't fucking sing along. Don't do that. You don't know.
One of my most embarrassing moments at a concert, I was at a Halloween concert, and nice. I fucking love Halloween, and I know all the lyrics to every song. Nice. So I'm just fucking singing along, and then I'm with my buddy, and afterwards he's like, dude, you gotta sing quieter. I'm so sorry. No. I couldn't even hear myself.
I disagree with your buddy. Even though I made the thing, like, concert, go crazy. Sing along, enjoy yourself. Yeah, there's no rules.
I mean, sometimes there is that guy, though, that's just
I was that guy.
Fuck up.
I'm a loud person.
I would argue that the only time that guy exists is when that guy is off key.
Well, it's like, so I saw the Flaming Lips for free for some reason a little while ago. I can't remember why. But I swear to God, there were like 5 guys, and they were all like 6'3", 6'4", that just like congregated like right in front of me, like just spread so all I see is like 3 of their 4 bald heads, and then an awkward baseball cap, and then they're all like just moving around. And one of the guys was just fucking trash, and he was singing along, but he was like not in time, so it really pissed me off. And I'm just trying to see this because it's like I made it all the way out here for free, and I shouldn't complain, but I'm going to. And I couldn't escape them.
Well, welcome to every power metal show ever. If you go to any fucking power metal show, everyone's 7 feet tall. And you can't avoid them. And everyone's singing so fucking loud. It's nice because everyone loves it, but at the same time, you can never see the fucking stage if you don't get up.
I'm a short dude, so I'm always behind someone taller than me. and it's not their fault. I'm just sure.
Feel that.
It
I
is
know
their
the
fault.
average.
How dare they slight me with their beam?
Exactly. And honestly, that's what I have to tell myself about things like you're talking about too. If they're just having fun, even if it's annoying to you, as long as they're not doing anything wrong, you can't be mad at someone for having fun.
Yeah.
So
We've got a big butt coming.
I saw a System of a Down
Blood.
recently with
High five. We were both there.
Okay. I saw System of a Down with Skeleton Witch and at the drive-in. And the dude in front of me during the at the drive-in stuff, because obviously they're very political, and they were talking about illegal immigrants and things like that, and making statements. But the dude in front of me was so douchecore that he's like booing them and shit like that. And then System of a Down comes on and he's like doing the 90s Fred Durst moves in front of me. And I'm just like, it's just stop. Stop it.
All right.
I just want to point out again, as I did that night, 2 years ago?
Yeah, something like that.
2 years ago, yeah. They share the same politics.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, System of a Down and At the Drive-In share the same politics, and this guy is booing and flipping off at the drive-in and doing his douche hip-hop moves during System of a Down.
Well, the booing and flipping people off, that's not having fun at shows. So
I don't know.
You can judge him on that.
He might be enjoying himself doing that.
You're absolutely right.
There are a lot of people who find a lot of happiness in their rage, and if you actually take their rage away, they're unhappy people.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Damn.
Fuck you, the fun police are coming.
So
there was one other thing I wanted to bring up real quick when we were talking about clever stuff being done on quarantine with song cover music videos. So before this all even started and was hitting the news, Cattle Decapitation put out a new album, and there's a song called "Bring Back the Plague" on it. So the moment this all hit, they decided well, fuck it, we're gonna film a music video for it, all from our homes. They just used their mobile phones to film footage of the band members watching the news and hugging packages of toilet paper and crying.
That's awesome. I didn't know that exists. I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah,
it's really good.
Great.
And it's Cattle Decap, so that makes it a little better.
Yeah, dude. And a bunch of people went to, when the music video came out, were comments, "Hey guys, this was a little too prophetic. Can your next songs be I just won the lottery and everything's gonna be okay?"
Trump's not going to be reelected. Can that be your next song?
I'm trying to have a nice Easter, Tyler. Don't even say that.
Oh shit, that's right. It's Easter.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter, everybody.
Jesus, Dan.
Happy Easter,
Jesus.
Happy Passover. All those things that
Christ the
I don't
Lord
think any of us
has
celebrate.
risen today. Hallelujah.
I'm just going to point out Jesus Christ Superstar, the one with Tim Minchin, is now free on YouTube. So if
that's
you want
right.
And Brooks, you walked away from that life. You can't sing those songs anymore.
I can do what I want, Dan.
So I feel like we should touch on news items that happened over the past week, game releases and things, because we haven't talked about those yet. Obviously,
some video games came out and people bought them.
The big one being Final Fantasy VII Remake on Friday. And I got my first class edition.
Bye, Dan.
Yeah, right. Dan disappeared.
Where's Dan going?
Apparently, Dan doesn't want to be a part of this conversation.
What's happening?
Leave me alone. I'm having a hardware issue. I'm fixing it.
Nobody look.
Arguably the most anticipated game of like the past 20 years finally came out on Friday. No,
Sonic,
go on.
Sonic Forces came out again.
I'm going to disagree with that statement.
Okay.
Most anticipated game of the last 20 years? There's an obvious answer to that one.
Half-Life 3,
Half-Life
baby.
3.
Okay.
Right,
Half-Life
but
3.
you can't anticipate a game that's
And
never going to come
Half-Life
out.
Alyx just came out. So.
Right. Half-Life Alyx came out. Half-Life 3 is never going to come out. It's not going to happen. Gabe Newell has even come out like publicly and said, why would we release it? Look at the way that the fans respond to things.
Thank you,
even
Ryan.
if we meet expectations, we will never meet expectations.
Yeah, that's big.
I also-
Forever.
I don't think any Half-Life fans need to be reminded of the fact that they're in denial. We already know, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, don't point out our madness. We sleep with it every night.
It's about 2 years ago where one of the developers came out and he released the story.
Yes, the script.
So,
Yeah. But that was to the episode.
Third
3.
episode.
Yeah.
3, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Half-Life 2, the third episode.
Yeah. I would love to see actually, and to be fair, I have heard that Half-Life Alyx is one of the most amazing VR experiences you can have. Period.
I really want to play it.
So do
I've heard good things.
Yeah.
But I want to
So,
get a
I'm
Valve
sorry.
Index for that.
I totally interrupted your Final Fantasy VII.
Which is good. And interrupt Ryan whenever you can. That's
You got it.
pretty much how it should go. You've become part of the top.
I figured out how this.
Yeah.
You cracked the code.
I am.
You are now seeing the Matrix.
I am the despot of the podcast. It is everyone's prerogative to interrupt me and cut me off as I try.
Silence, Brand.
As I try desperately to keep us on some sort of organized path, and fail miserably every single week. But
20 years, though. Like, I don't know about 20 years. Maybe like 5.
I would argue 20 years. It's been something that with every single new PlayStation generation, people have asked for a remake of Final Fantasy VII. It's something that I can remember people asking for this for a very, very long time. And no, 20 considering it came out 23 years ago, 20 years is a bit of a stretch. But
Wasn't there a demo for PlayStation 3 even?
there
Just when they're
was,
showing
yes, it was a
hardware?
tech demo when they were showing off the
Yeah.
hardware. They showed off the Midgar intro, the swoop in, if I remember correctly, and it got people fucking crazy. And it didn't happen. And now here we are, 23 years after the original release of Final Fantasy VII. We finally got our remake, and after sinking about 20 hours into it so far, I can say, I can't say this objectively because I have heavy nostalgia goggles. I have a tattoo of Cloud on my body. I literally can't speak objectively on the topic.
Can I? Because I've never actually finished the first
Really?
Final Fantasy VII.
Okay,
I
go
never
for
did. Holy fuck, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I haven't been this engrossed in a game in so long, and I'm just like every step that I take, I am loving it. The voice acting's brilliant. We got Badger from fucking
Breaking Bad,
Breaking
yeah.
Bad.
as Biggs, but the
Wedge.
way they've changed. No, Biggs.
Biggs is the dude with the... Biggs is the Solid Snake looking one.
Oh, sorry. See, I don't know this. I don't know this game. This is more poignant from me. It's incredible. The fighting system is amazing. The way they've changed. I've played a little bit of the original Final Fantasy VII, but it's just so good. It's so much fun. It feels so smooth the entire way. I started downloading it at 3:00 yesterday, and then as soon as I was able to play it, I started to. And then it's I got basically through the demo, and I was legitimately depressed.
Yeah.
I had to wait till today to play it, and I'm like, what the fuck?
It's I didn't know how I would feel about the combat. The combat looked like it really resembled what they did in Crisis Core. And it seems to be kind of a mix of that action RPG, Crisis Core plus Final Fantasy 15, like that kind of thing. And it works out really well. It takes some getting used to, especially as a fan of the original, being used to the turn-based and things like that. I don't know. The ATB being an active meter that allows you to spend makes it difficult for exclusively like your damage magic casters and things like that, because they have to either wait to cast or they have to do physical damage in order to build up that meter before they can do what you've spec'd them for. But aside from like, that's a minor complaint compared to how like they couldn't fuck this up. If they fucked this up, it would be the end of Square. Like, absolutely. It's such a highly anticipated game. It would have absolutely decimated that company if this did not go well. And I'm happy to say it went well. So far, it has gone well. And this is just the first of many in Final Fantasy VII, because we're only going to the end of Midgar, which is a fraction of the original game. And I'm 20 hours in and just finished Honeybee Manor. So, yeah.
Jesus.
And then 15 years from now, when Chapter 2 comes out, you'll be able to play that.
Oh boy!
But I have to show off the headphones are coming off.
The headphones are coming off.
Now we can talk shit.
God, that dude.
Who dyes their hair blue?
The first class edition
Nice.
comes with a figure. I'm not exaggerating. This thing is the size of my cat.
Yes,
I did not
very
know
small cat.
what I expected. So I pre-ordered the first class edition, which comes with Cloud on the Hardy Daytona, and this is just large, like much bigger than I was thinking it was going to be, and it is a very, very beautiful figure.
It's quality.
Yeah.
Does it say
Square.
phrases?
No. Yeah. Could you imagine? Like, it's just going to be Cloud going, whatever.
Yeah. That'd be great. But it's in like, there's like 7 different inflections of that.
So, yeah. What else has happened over the past week that is newsworthy?
Let me just jump in real quick with an addendum of what you're saying. It seems weird the difference between not that gamers and moviegoers aren't the same or anything, but how excited and how happy you are about a remake of a video game that you thought was a classic. You were excited when you heard that you wanted them to remake it, and then you love it. Unlike maybe the movie scene where you take a classic from 20 years ago, it's like, hey, they're remaking it. Fuck that.
Yeah, I've actually never thought about that. But
Yeah, nor have I.
Like,
That is, I never thought about that in that way.
I think I can answer my own observation too there. Video games, I think, are the one kind of medium art, and there's obviously classics, but as technology grows, they're just going to get better no matter what. Take like a shitty game now and give it to somebody 20 years ago, and they might think it's the most amazing thing ever because they haven't done all that. So when you want to reboot or remake a game, you figure the story's good. Can you imagine it with today's graphics and today's working systems? So maybe
I don't know. I feel like if we sent Anthem back 20 years, people would still think it sucked.
well, no, they won't be able to play it because even if we send them back with one of our PlayStation 4s, it's still going to blow up.
Yeah. I would argue.
And actually, my theory is wrong. I realized it as I was saying it because nowadays you can do great special effects. Better.
I still get I get kind of hesitant towards remakes that come out as far as movies go. I hate them.
Well, and I would argue that is due to the performance of the actors. And we think of the performance of the actors themselves at the time. So, like, while there are similar technological advancements in each field as time goes on, because we're relying on computers for both in order to generate anything. And but what it comes down to is the performances. And inevitably, when something gets remade in a film, spec or whatever, you're going to have completely different actors, and you're probably going to have significant changes to the script.
And different directors as well.
Right. So all of the creative people involved in making the original film great are not involved. It's more the studio trying to make money off of it. Whereas Square, we've got Nobuo Uematsu still doing the music for the Final Fantasy VII remake. You get all of the creative leads who are involved in the original involved in this as well. And then beyond that, there was no voice acting in the original Final Fantasy VII, so there's no real voice direction to get butthurt over or performance or anything like that, because gaming is more, I think, more of an experience versus films. Go ahead.
I'd also argue that it's not just the personal experience of playing the game, the interactive experience. Up until very semi-recently, being a voice actor in games, being a writer in games was not a thing respected or a thing at all, really. Like, that was in the 80s, 90s, even early 2000s. People were like, that was not a well-respected part of the game.
Well, originally, people weren't even credited. They had to hide their credits in Easter eggs.
You are super B right now and very hard to understand.
Oh, sorry.
They had to hide their names just because, especially in Japan, it wasn't a respected profession. You straight up didn't want people to know that you worked on them.
It's not just Japan; it's everywhere. The idea of being a voice actor, being a writer for video games, is a very recent thing.
I don't know anything about this, but isn't it also kind of arrogant in Japanese culture back then to put your name on it?
I don't know.
That's what I thought, but I could be completely wrong.
That would make sense.
Absolutely nothing.
I'm not really sure about the cultural context there for that, but it could be. I know that the first people that I knew, whose names I knew that worked on games, were Sid Meier and stuff like that. On PC titles.
Right. Or
Tim
I feel
Schafer. And I feel like PC games had a little bit more. Hey, guess what? We're allowed to be proud of this. But if you're making games for making Sega games, then you have to change your name.
I feel like it wasn't even PC games. I feel like it wasn't until the mid 2000s when.
No. How about John Romero? John Romero might be one of the first kind of rock star game developers. He did Doom, if you guys don't know.
Yeah.
Doom and Quake, and he would have pictures of himself in the ads.
But then he did Daikatana.
Yeah. That pretty much built it. I should play that game a lot just because I wanted to lie to myself and say, no.
Yeah.
I would say that there are a few of those Rockstar, video game types nowadays, Cliffy B and the like, who have kind of taken.
And as much as I hate him, Todd Howard was.
Yeah, I mean it's the people who took. They took to the forefront of it, where most of the people who are actually doing all the work are not the people who are out being the rock star of it. And John Romero, he was, probably he's the earliest instance of a rock star, game designer that I can think of. And half of it was because I think a lot of people were so surprised he was so pretty. I remember a running joke in Penny Arcade was Gabe or Tycho's shrine to Romero. And this was around the time that Daikatana was coming out, and then Daikatana came out, and everyone kind of forgot who he was. Actually, what's funny? It's funny that you bring him up because I haven't thought about him in fucking forever. And someone, it popped up on my Facebook timeline a photo of him and someone handing him a box of Doom 3 to sign, and he signed, "I didn't make this, John Romero."
Right. Have any of you played Doom Eternal?
Ah, yes.
I have not
I want
yet.
to.
It
I
is
want to so bad.
outstanding. I played Doom 2016. I loved that. This improves on it in every conceivable way.
Really?
Yeah,
really?
I love it.
Because I love that
Absolutely
one too.
love it.
I just haven't got Eternal yet.
I just finished downloading the first new Doom.
Yeah.
It's
Doom
great.
2016.
It's such a good game. It's
It'll
so
be
good. Doom 2016.
It's on my next game to play list after I finish Final Fantasy VII, which is going to take
Which
forever.
might be a while. Yeah.
Yeah. Doom Eternal is one that I bought on Stadia. And so I've been playing it on that, and it's been great. It's been super good.
On Stadia.
Yeah.
Can we discuss Stadia?
Sure, of course.
Sure.
Okay. I don't have it, but what I do have is a Nvidia Shield, and I've had a Nvidia Shield for 3-4 years now.
Sure.
Part of the Nvidia Shield was their GeForce.
Yeah, GeForce Now.
GeForce Now. But I remember trying that about 3-4 years ago, and it blew my mind because it was basically Netflix for games.
Yeah.
And it was like, why isn't everyone talking about this? This is huge. You don't have to download the games. You're getting it better. So it seemed amazing to me, but it never went anywhere. And then when Stadia, they announced it, it was like 3 years later. And like, so basically Google's just getting on this GeForce Now thing. But with Google's name behind it, I thought it was going to be a lot bigger, but it sounds like in every way it's not as good.
It's definitely a beta. They're not. They have yet to deliver on a number of their promises, and Google is not experienced.
Google never delivers on promises. Sorry.
Google is not experienced in a console launch, because that's essentially what this is.
On anything except for search engines.
Google's product launches historically, we've been over this. Google's product launches historically have always been beta launches, but they've declared them as such. Gmail started as an internal thing that, like, Google has an internal My Time, where their developers are allowed to work on whatever passion projects they have. And if it's something that, like, Google has interest in, they essentially buy it from that person, and it becomes a core product. Gmail was in beta for, like 10 years before they're like, all right, let's get rid of the beta logo. And that's all Google knows how to do when it comes to product launches. They come up with an idea, they develop it into a usable place. But technically speaking, aside from any of their commercial ventures, they're all beta products. And Stadia is, I think, I have a hard time thinking of anything else that is consumer-facing money generator, something that they're intending to charge for that's consumer facing. And their typical beta launch free consumer thing doesn't fit there because people are now paying for it. And but they're not, they're doing it in the way that they know how, which is all beta launches. So they're not meeting people's expectations for the most part. I will say that
Glass.
that was never a consumer product. That was only ever available as a dev product. And then they never reached consumer market. You could pay $1,500 for the dev product, but they never put it out on the consumer market. Consumers could pay for it and did, but if you're paying for a dev product, you get what you pay for. You get exactly that. I bought a fucking dev kit 2 for Rift because I was so excited for VR, and it wasn't quite there. It was great, but it wasn't quite there. I will say that I have thoroughly enjoyed the time that I've spent with Stadia under ideal conditions. Now that they've opened up all or more handsets, so I can actually play it on my phone, it's worked great on my phone. It's worked great on my Chromecast that's wired to my network. I've gotten 4K HDR and 0 load times on Doom Eternal. And it's great. It is responsive and runs very, very well. But not everyone has those conditions.
Right. Does it seem like it's been improving since you got it?
Yeah. They
yeah.
regularly added the features that they did not have when it launched.
It's interesting to me, but I hardly even during that time played GeForce that much, so I just debated the Stadia.
So I only recently kind of became aware of GeForce Now, and now the game streaming thing is becoming more of an inevitability and less of a kitsch. And I would say that given 0 restrictions, GeForce Now would be the winner and should be the winner because it is the most pro-consumer of any of the platforms out there. Stadia, you have to rebuy any game that you want to play on Stadia. You have to buy it on Stadia, and that's at full retail price. Each month, you do get some pro perks if you're buying pro, if you're paying for pro. But otherwise, like none of the sales that you see on Steam translate over to Stadia. So you'll end up paying, $60 for a game that you can get for $30 on Steam. And Project xCloud is a subscription service that has some hand-picked, Microsoft, shows some games to make available on Project xCloud. On GeForce Now, your Steam library is available.
Yeah, that's nice.
And just because of the openness of that, fucking Bethesda pulled out. Many people, since it actually went live, like proper live, many publishers have pulled their games from it because they're not getting new revenue from it. And they consider it a new platform.
It's kind of its problem, too, where it felt like they dropped it, GeForce Now, and then just ignored it, was when it first came out 3 years ago or so. It came with about 2 pages of games being a G Club member. And they were decent games 3 years ago. Turn the GeForce on now, the same games are there, but only half of them. They've actually removed them because of the removing. Mm-hmm. So it's like they added absolutely nothing and did nothing with it over a few years. And I wonder why it stalled like that.
Well, they kind of like boosted the beta over the past few months because it only went like full live last month, I want to say. And once it went full live and it was out of that beta process, that's when people started pulling their products. And it drives me nuts because essentially you're opening up a Steam environment. You can just plain launch Steam on GeForce Now on your fucking cell phone and be like, I wonder if this game works. And it installs it when you click on a game in your Steam library and tries to launch it. And like that it's like having a virtual machine elsewhere, which Stadia is kind of trying to achieve. And, these other things are kind of trying to achieve in that, like, look, your library is available and it's being rendered elsewhere. But this is the only one where it's like, no. Your library that you've been building since fucking Half-Life 2 came out is available to you on this VM, and it will render with a fucking RTX video card, probably better than you can afford. A video card that still to this day costs about $1,000 fucking dollars, and it will be delivered. It'll be streamed to you, so you don't have to invest $2,000 or more into a system every couple of years. It makes sense. It's the most pro-consumer platform, but because it's not getting more money for the publishers, it's totally going to fail, and it sucks.
Well, The Topless Robot acronym pronunciation list will begin once again at. There was so many. I was so bored. I was so bored for the last 15 minutes. Okay.
Did we get too nerdy for you?
Look, I'm sorry. Like, this is a rant that I've been wanting to get off my chest for a really long time because GeForce Now, to me, is a clear winner.
Yeah, you basically answered my question because I never obviously tried GeForce Now. It just seems way better, and still is. But like you said, neither of them seem like they're going to be. It's nice playing Steam games on your TV without having to hook things up. That's
right.
a plus,
And I mean, Steam had Steam Link, which allowed you to render everything on your personal desktop or your personal computer and stream it off to a TV. And that was nice and cool for a while. But it's what bridges the gap between it is the GeForce Now thing where you've got hardware that's the top of the line hardware that's rendering stuff at the best visual fidelity that it can onto your TV. I'd still have to update my desktop. I can't run everything at max settings. Getting to play something at max settings because you paid for it and you're paying for a subscription to have some server farm render it for you is way better than having to update your computer hardware every couple of years.
Well, here's an related but unrelated question to all of you. Because you're right, that got a little boring.
Sorry,
you might
guys.
want to make a little snip there on the.
It's kind of what.
No, it all stays in. It all stays in.
It all stays in. All right,
We're used to Ryan getting boring for a little while.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm encouraging him, but I'm going to ask nerdy questions.
Yeah. How
So
dare
do you guys have fiber internet out there in Arizona?
In certain places.
No.
Do any of you?
I
No.
don't.
I have very bad internet 20 a day
And
because
yet
I
Dan,
live in a
for
monopoly zone.
Oh,
For whatever reason, Dan's the least cubist-looking person.
It's because he's not at home.
Yeah, and also despite that, when I am at home, the still actually works pretty well until I decide to play a video game, and then I drop out of the connection every 5 minutes.
Yeah, dude, we were playing Risk of Rain 2, and he kept dropping. It was bad. It was fun, but it was bad occasionally.
I know, especially since I had to carry you guys so hard.
Oh my god!
Where are you, Dan?
I'm in California, bro.
Are you? Oh, I was wondering why you had
Yes, this is not a decoration that I have at my house.
I was wondering where that was. I'm like sitting there going through, like, I've been to your house. Where is this?
Yeah, it's we're pretty much just holed up somewhere for my brother's 30th. So,
cool.
All right.
What part of California?
right now we're at Oceanside. The last couple of days we were in Ramona, up in this big mansion thing that is it's a business. So they 24 every day of the year you can just rent it out. And
If you're going to be holed up somewhere, that sounds nice.
Well, our initial plan was to go to the Stone Beer Garden because I've wanted to see that for years, and obviously we couldn't do that, so we just stayed inside and got really drunk, and I'm going to do that today too.
I just thought of this as you said. Something I've wanted to see since I got to California, just some plan. I want to drive around Salton Sea. You guys know what that is? So in Colorado River, Salton Sea. The Salton Sea.
Okay.
They the Colorado River, they tried to irrigate fields and they moved it and it made this giant sea in the middle of California. But it wasn't it was getting fed water, but it wasn't going anywhere. So it became really salty and almost toxic. And the lake was giant.
Oh, so damn.
Made.
Salty and toxic, that is correct.
The lake was giant when it made, and back in the 50s and 60s, they started making it like another Vegas. They put little resorts around it and rich and famous people would go out there, and it was a beautiful lake in California. But it started to get more and more toxic and more salty, and basically the whole area around it's become a ghost town. And people have people have made like all these weird structures around it. It's kind of this artsy installation, and it's desolated. So now seems like maybe the perfect time for me and my wife to make a little road trip around it.
Yeah,
There's
right.
no one there.
Go.
Yeah, really. Smart.
So that's all I got. Salton Sea.
Mort.
Although I don't know, are you even allowed to do that now?
I don't know what California's restrictions are.
I ain't gonna tell the man on you.
Arizona, everything's been a suggestion. Because
Arizona, everyone says that, like, our governor literally pretty much everything is an essential business. So just stay open or close if you want to.
In Arizona, at least under the first order of it wasn't, it's not a shelter in place. It is a stay-at-home order. Basically, it was something that was like lighter wording. And it's because Arizona is more libertarian than most states. So when that first order came through, the list of essential businesses included nail salons, hair salons, golf
Tattoo
courses, tattoo shops.
They did finally close all of those things.
Yes, they did eventually.
When everyone got mad.
Yeah, because that was rightful anger.
Yes, it was.
I think California, we closed a week earlier than everyone else, and we closed everything.
California is one of the most progressive states in the country, and I would expect them to see something like this and take it seriously.
Although I have to say, something that was funny is we suspected we might have some difficulty getting through like the border checkpoint into California. Like we didn't know if they were going to allow us. It was like,
I wondered that too.
And it was so funny because, surprise, surprise, I, much like the rest of my family, am very white.
I was going to say, still the wave if you're white checkpoint.
Dude, yes, it was so fucking funny. Like we rolled up and rolled the window down, literally laughed at us and
Really?
he laughed at us.
Okay, so I dated a Hispanic girl, and she lived in California. So every time that I went and visited her, I never got pulled over. But me and her were both going into California every time.
Wow.
100% of the time,
gross.
we would get pulled over. I also have a buddy who's Asian, and we we go to California a lot because we like to go see concerts. And if I'm by myself, it's fine. But if he's in the fucking passenger, guess who's getting pulled over? It's fucking us. It's so stupid.
Yeah. It's fucking ridiculous.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess that kind of makes sense. I went through the stop once when I was actually tour managing another band. It was a death metal band out of Greece. And they
Hold on, I might know.
Septic Flesh. I'll keep my opinions out of them.
No, don't worry. It's great. People tell me everything I like sucks all the time, so you're allowed to do that.
It's not about their music.
Oh, okay. That's fine then.
Anyway, we'll leave it at that. But we went through the checkpoint, and Greek, they kind of death metal looked ethnic, and you're right. They pulled us all out, brought dogs in the van, looked through everything. Long thing, took us like an hour, then we went on. When I moved to California 10 months ago or so, I had a moving truck and a trailer with a car in it. We had houseplants and all this stuff in it, and waved us on.
Got the white wave, dude.
Yeah.
Yep.
Weird.
Yeah.
I'm part of the problem.
It makes you feel gross, doesn't it? Like it really
does. Yeah.
It sucks. I actually feel really bad about it.
Yeah.
It does. Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah.
So we have gotten to the end of the podcast. I feel like that's down.
I did hear the alarm go off a long time ago.
It went off a while ago.
In the middle of your acronym rant.
I will leave us. We're going to do an Ask Reddit. So occasionally we go to the subreddit Ask Reddit and answer some random question from Ask Reddit that seems interesting. And one of them is confusing to me, and I think it would be great. Or it could be absolutely terrible, and all of us are just going to be super confused. The question is, what inanimate object do you not get along with?
Oh,
That's a good question.
some part in the back of my mind feels like I have an answer to this. I'm just
Got an answer. Got an answer.
All right, go for it.
Go for it. Oh, sorry, we're not. Okay. Right now, currently, to get a good heat flow in our door, my wife likes to keep our door open a bit at night. I think it's a nice little flow in there. So this happened around Halloween, and we had this dragon skull that we had as a Halloween decoration. And my wife took it down and just put it at the door to hold it open a little bit as a doorstop in our room. Now, every morning, if I get her in the middle of the night, if I have to go to the bathroom every morning, I step on that damn dragon skull every day. And every day I kick it, I'm like, I am not getting along with the plastic dragon skull used as doorstop.
I've got also a very personal.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Sorry, Mom.
It's my wife.
What happened?
I have no idea.
That was beautiful. No, I've got also very.
Whose mic did that even come through?
It was Kevin's wife.
It's Kevin's.
It was my wife yelling. I got loud.
That was amazing. Okay, so I bought a house a couple years back, and I have not fixed this yet. But my shower is the door to get into has a bar that's around 1 inch taller than or 1 inch shorter than my head. So I have to duck to get into my shower. And if I'm hungover or if I'm just really just not awake, I bang my fucking head on this goddamn top of my shower every fucking morning, and it hurts so bad, especially when you're not awake. So that's the one that I don't get along with.
With me, it's door handles, because all the ones in my house are like directly at waist level, and so I catch them on my belt loops all the time.
That's the worst.
Yeah. For me, though, less so lately, is my car door. When I've got nerdy lanyard on my keychain, and if I just hop into my car and sit down and close the door, it's going to close on the lanyard no matter what. And it's how the first nerdy lanyard that I had was like a Legend of Zelda, like really cool pixelated thing. It got fucking destroyed within a day of me buying it because I sat in my car and just slammed the door, and the plastic bit it got broken immediately. So that, or bass strings when I'm out of practice because my fingers hurt.
I was gonna say the thing that comes to mind for me is it's the click track on my drum kit, because I go back and forth between running it through my amp or running it through headphones when I'm trying to practice really quiet. So what will happen is the setting that I have to turn it on for it to go over the drum samples through the amp is really loud. And it preserves that setting even if I have my headphones on.
Ooh.
And every time I'll sit down and get ready, and it's just a button. You just click, and it starts whatever setting you had it on previously. And yeah, like there was one time, because I was just like, I was out of it. I actually like fell off of my drum throne and threw my headphones while I was
Oh, if we're talking about gear, then XLR cables have a best of nomination for me. Then I swear they don't make them long enough ever, and I'm always getting them wrapped around my mic stand because you guys have seen what I do for the most part.
Yeah.
and it always gets fucking twisted up and shit, and then I have to fucking find a way to spin it around while keeping my mind on everything else. Pain in the ass.
So Kevin knows. Brooks, in his last band, the Ganderers, he had the classic grill mic, the Shure, grill mic, and would undress and get involved in the audience as the show progressed.
Nice.
So yeah, when you're an active frontman, I would expect that cables in general are the enemy.
I hate them, but I also love them because it helped me find my way back to the stage.
And on that note,
he Hansels and Gretels his way back.
Thank you everybody for watching and or listening. Thank you so much, Kevin, for joining us on this episode of the Topless Robot podcast. We'll see you next week.
If you didn't hear that, he said thank you for watching the podcast.